Alright, so this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to do some color value with the color blue using white, gray, and black. So I'm using crayons. You don't necessarily have to use crayons. You can use color pencils or even paint. But for the meantime, I'm just going to be using crayons. So the first thing I want to do is I want to draw out somewhat like a value scale. So I'm drawing out my sections. And you want to split up your sections enough so that way you have enough spaces or sections to show the complete white or the regular color itself or the mixture with the tint, tone, and shade. So I'm going to start off with the white. Be careful when you color in the white that you don't color over the black crayon because it'll mix with the white. I kind of mixed just a little bit there on the corners on the top and the right, but just make sure that you're not pushing too hard with your white crayon because you still want to have enough area of paper for your blue crayon to mix with the white crayon. So when we start with our blue crayon to mix it, remember you have two different pressures, or you've got the hard pressure and the light pressure. And when we're mixing, we want to use more of a light pressure when we're mixing, so that way we can see that mixture of the two crayons. Okay, so I'm coloring really lightly with my blue over the white crayon so that way we can see that it is a light white. It is a tint of white or of blue. And again, be very careful that you don't brush over or color over the black crayon because it is going to start to mix and we don't want it to mix. So if you want to, you can draw it with like a pencil or a pen so that it doesn't mix. Okay, now we're going to go into our gray, our tone. So same thing with the mixing. We don't want to use too hard of a pressure because too much pressure means that we won't be able to press the second color onto the paper and we won't be able to mix it. So we're using a medium to light pressure with our gray so that way we can still add in the color of the blue on top of the gray and mix it together to make our tone. So here you can see I have a little bit more pressure. I adjusted my hand, my left hand, so that way I could draw a little bit harder, but not too much harder because we want those two colors to mix. We want the gray and the blue to mix, so that way it's slightly darker than the tint, which is the white and the blue. So now I'm going to go into my black. So when we work with black mixing, we have to really keep in mind that pressure, because the harder we press with our black, the darker that black is going to be, and it's not going to be able to mix with our color. It's just going to show black. So I'm using a very, very light pressure with my black crayon. You can even see the white spots of paper in between the color, and that's what you want to get. Okay, so very light pressure with the black, and then we do a layer on top of our blue. And now with my blue, I've got a little bit more pressure of my blue because the black is so dark already on its own that I do want to be able to see the blue through the black. So I have a little bit more pressure, probably medium to hard pressure, not too hard. We're not completely coloring it blue, but we do want to have some of that blue crayon pressed in between the black crayon as we're coloring. Okay. And I kind of looked over it and I could see, I don't really see a middle gray. I don't really see that medium blue, that tone. So I went ahead and I went back over with the blue and the gray again, just to kind of make sure that that tone is even with the shade and the tint of my blue. So if you need to, you can go back and you can add those layers, but again, be careful with your pressure as you're adding these layers, so that way it does not change the actual tint, tone, or shade of your color. We still want to be able to see the color. Alright, and then this very last section, I'm just going to color it with just the blue crayon by itself, so we can see what the blue color looks like, what the hue looks like without any tint, tone, or shade added to it. So again, this is just blue by itself. Again, I have a little bit more pressure with this one because it is just the blue. And then what you'll do next, the very last thing, is just to go ahead and label them. So we've got our tint with the white, our tone with the gray, our shade with the black, and then our hue with nothing. And of course, the very far left, we have the white. So white is tint, gray is tone, and shade is with black.